Let me ask you something before we even get started. You know that moment when you're getting dressed, you try on 2 or 3 things, put them all back, and land right back on the one outfit you always default to. Not because you love it. Just because it's easy. Almost every woman I know has a small collection of those outfits. And most of us have no idea that some of those very outfits are quietly working against us, in ways that have nothing to do with our weight, our age, or our body type. It comes down to something much simpler than that. Cut. Proportion. The quiet visual signals our clothes send before we've even fully walked into a room. Today I want to walk you through 8 of the most common style traps I see again and again in women's wardrobes after 60, and I'm going to be specific about exactly why each one happens. Then, once we understand the why, I'll walk you through 5 simple swaps that solve nearly all of them, using pieces that are genuinely easy to find and easy to afford. If any of this sounds familiar as we go, please don't feel a bit of embarrassment. Every single one of these outfits comes from a completely reasonable place, comfort, habit, or something that simply worked for us at another point in life. Understanding why it stopped working is the whole gift here. Let's start with the one that surprises people most. The shapeless, boxy blazer in a safe neutral. I want to be clear right away. Blazers are not the problem. Blazers are wonderful. The problem is one very specific version that shows up constantly in wardrobes over 60, and it's usually the most expensive piece in the closet. It hangs straight from the shoulder with no inward curve at the waist. The shoulder seam often sits slightly dropped, past the natural shoulder point. And the color lives in that family of safe neutrals: oatmeal, grayish, dusty beige, pale taupe. Here is why this ages a woman, and it really is pure geometry. When a garment hangs straight from its widest point, the shoulder, with nothing following the body shape below, it creates a rectangle. And the eye reads a rectangle on a body as bulk, adding visual weight that isn't actually there. It hides the waist, which is one of the strongest signals of shape and proportion a woman can offer, regardless of her size. The safe neutral color makes it worse, not because neutral is a bad choice. Neutral can be beautifully powerful when used with intention, but a muted, dusty tone worn head to toe with nothing to contrast against it simply disappears. What's left is a boxy shape in a color that fades into the room, on the most capable woman standing in it. Next, the head-to-toe matching pastel set. I don't mean a cozy loungewear set worn around the house on a Sunday. I mean the powder blue linen top with the matching powder blue trousers, the blush cardigan over blush ankle pants, worn out into the world. The trouble here is contrast, or the total absence of it. When an outfit carries no contrast anywhere, the eye has nowhere to travel. It takes in the whole thing at once, registers it as one flat block, and moves on. That's the opposite of what we want. We want the eye traveling upward, toward your face, because that is where your presence truly lives. A matching pastel set, top to bottom, eliminates that movement completely, and low saturation pastel tones already carry less visual impact on their own. Put 2 of them together, collar to ankle, and the whole outfit can genuinely fade from across a room. Third, the elastic waist floral midi skirt. Let me say plainly, the floral print is never the problem. Florals are wonderful. The issue is the elastic waistband at the natural waist, paired with a very specific length. When a skirt gathers at the waist with no structure or lining, the fabric blooms outward in small repeated folds, adding visual mass right at the midsection. Exactly the area most of us would rather minimize. Then there's the length. A midi that falls between the knee and mid-calf is a gorgeous length in the right cut, but in an unstructured, gathered skirt, it often lands right at the widest point of the calf, cutting the leg line horizontally in precisely the wrong place. And I want to say this honestly, the instinct to reach for this skirt makes complete sense. It's comfortable, forgiving after a big lunch, and doesn't demand a particular kind of shoe to work. That desire for ease is entirely reasonable. Comfort and a clean silhouette were simply never meant to be opposites, and one of our swaps in a moment proves that beautifully. Fourth, the logo-heavy piece. This one is less about shape and more about what clothing quietly communicates, because it always communicates something, whether we mean it to or not. I'm talking about the oversized visible logo, the graphic sweatshirt where the brand name takes over the whole front. Here is the honest truth of what that says at this stage of life. It says the brand's identity is doing the talking for you. On a younger woman, that can read as playful or aspirational. On a woman over 60 who has developed genuine personal style, it tends to read the opposite way. The women who look most effortlessly put together in their 60s and 70s almost never wear a visible logo at all. Their clothes don't need to announce a name, because the quality and the intention speak entirely on their own. If you've recognized yourself in any of those four so far, please don't take that as a bad sign. It simply means what's coming is going to be useful to you. For more, and then we get to the fixes. Fifth, the boxy turtleneck over tapered trousers. This one is different. It's a pairing rather than a single item. And I want to explain why it's so common before explaining the problem, because there's a completely logical reason we reach for it. A slightly oversized turtleneck, ending around the hip, worn over trousers that taper inward toward the ankle. Everything matches in tone. It looks neat at a glance. And that's exactly the trap, because looking put together at a glance and actually working in your favor are two very different things. When the top is boxy and wide, and the trousers narrow toward the bottom, the eye reads the whole shape as inverted, broad up top diminishing below, which visibly shortens the legs since there's no strong vertical line to follow downward. And the high, closed neckline removes the one thing that would otherwise break up that block, a bit of visible skin, a hint of collarbone, a small window near the face. Without that, the outfit runs from chin to hip in one unbroken column. I want to say clearly, plenty of women have worn this combination for years and received real compliments in it. I'm not telling you it looks bad. I'm telling you it's leaving something on the table, and the fix costs you almost nothing. Sixth, the wrong cut of denim. Before anything else, let me be very clear. This is not a conversation about whether women over 60 should wear jeans. They absolutely should. That debate is long over in Jeans 1. This is about one specific cut doing real quiet damage, and ironically, it's the very cut that started the myth that women over 60 shouldn't wear jeans at all. I mean the high-rise, tapered ankle jean in a medium to light wash. The lighter wash draws the eye straight to the hip and thigh, the widest part of the leg, and the inward taper at the ankle creates a contrast that exaggerates that width rather than balancing it. It's rigid denim too, so the shape holds firm and stays visible from clear across a room. This is the cut that gets blamed on jeans as a whole. It was never the jeans. It was always this particular cut. Seventh, the long tunic over leggings. I want to start this one gently, because I think it gets criticized in a way that misses the real point entirely. Choosing a long tunic over leggings isn't a mistaken judgment. It's a completely reasonable comfort decision. The tunic covers, the leggings move, and the whole thing requires no complicated thought on a rushed morning. There is nothing wrong with reaching for that on the days you genuinely need it. The trouble starts when it becomes your everyday default, not your favorite outfit, just the one requiring the least effort. Visually, here's what happens. A tunic falling past the hip with no waist definition creates one long, unbroken column from shoulder to mid-thigh. There's no focal point anywhere. And because the leggings underneath are usually dark and form-fitting, they quietly become the most visually prominent part of the whole outfit, exactly backwards from what the tunic was meant to accomplish in the first place. That's not a flaw in you. It's a flaw in the proportions, and proportions are entirely fixable without giving up an ounce of the comfort you love. And finally, comfort footwear with no visual connection to the rest of the outfit. I want to be precise here, because this one gets misunderstood constantly. Comfort footwear is never the enemy. Needing shoes that genuinely support your feet is not a style failure, not even close. So many of us spent decades in shoes that looked wonderful and felt miserable. And the shift toward footwear that actually works with our feet makes complete sense. The issue is one specific pairing, a bright, clinical-looking sneaker worn beneath an outfit it has nothing in common with. Picture a soft floral skirt and a relaxed top, paired with a stark white, thick-soled, almost medical-looking sneaker. Every piece was chosen for comfort, and yet together, the shoes become the loudest, most jarring thing in the whole outfit, simply because they share no visual language with anything above them. Now let's talk about what actually fixes all of this, because understanding the why is only half the story. Once you see the mechanics behind each trap, the solutions stop feeling random and start feeling like common sense. The first fix is a structured wrap dress, and this single garment quietly replaces two problems at once. the elastic waist skirt, and the shapeless tunic over leggings. A wrap dress defines the waist, creates a diagonal neckline that draws the eye straight up toward your face, and moves naturally with your body instead of sitting stiffly on it. That diagonal is really the whole trick. A diagonal line on the body creates movement, the eye follows it, and when it travels upward from hip to chest to neckline, it creates the visual effect of a longer torso and a far more defined silhouette. Look for one with a fabric that has enough weight to drape properly rather than cling, and a tie you can adjust exactly to how you feel that day. You control the definition. That's intention, made visible in the simplest way possible. The second fix is a wide leg or gently straight cut trouser in a deep, rich tone, navy, chocolate brown, deep olive, charcoal, forest green. This one solves both the tapered jean problem and the matching pastel set problem. Through the same principle, contrast and proportion working together. A wide leg creates a clean vertical line the eye can travel down, elongating the leg in a way a tapered cut simply cannot. And a deep, rich color creates immediate contrast against whatever you wear on top, which is exactly what a monochrome pastel set was missing. Pair a rich navy trouser with a cream or warm white top, and the eye moves naturally from your shoes, up the trouser line, to the contrast at your waist, and finally to your face. That movement is precisely what presence looks like from across a room. The third fix is a fitted blazer with a defined shoulder, in a color with some warmth or depth to it: camel, deep burgundy, cobalt, warm terracotta. When I say fitted, I don't mean tight, I mean a shoulder seam sitting exactly at your natural shoulder point, and a slight inward curve at the waist before the fabric reaches your hip. That inward curve, sometimes called suppression, is the single detail separating a blazer that creates presence from one that simply covers you. If a jacket falls perfectly straight from shoulder to hip with no curve at all, it's the Boxy trap all over again, regardless of the price tag on it. A rich, warm-colored blazer over a simple white top and dark trousers is one of the most complete, polished combinations in a woman's wardrobe, and it takes barely a few minutes to put together. The fourth fix is a blouse in a silk finish or satin weave. This one earns some healthy skepticism at first, and honestly, I understand why, because fabric quality really can vary a great deal at different price points. But here's the honest, useful part. A well-chosen satin blouse with genuine drape and a soft way of catching light can look remarkably close, at conversational distance, in the actual rooms you'll wear it in, to something costing far more. Up close, if you're touching it side by side with true silk, you will feel a difference in weight. That's true and worth knowing. But think about where you're actually wearing this: a coffee with a friend, a family dinner, a walk through town. At that distance, in that context, the visual result holds up beautifully. This piece solves both the logo problem and the turtleneck problem at once, since real drape and gentle light catch never need a brand name to look intentional. And it can be tucked, half-tucked, or worn loose to create natural waist definition with no elastic in sight. And the fifth fix is either a block heel mule or a pointed toe flat, and I want to be honest about who each one is for. Some of you cannot wear any kind of heel, not a block heel, not even a small lift, because of plantar fasciitis, arthritis, or other genuine structural concerns, and that is real and common and absolutely valid. For those of you with some flexibility here, a block heel mule is wider and more grounded than it looks, often closer to the feeling of a flat than you'd expect, and it lengthens the leg line the moment you put it on. For anyone who needs to stay completely flat, a pointed toe flat is not a consolation prize at all. The elongated toe creates a genuine visual illusion. The eye follows that point outward and downward, lengthening the leg without a heel in sight. What both of these share, and what the clinical sneaker lacks, is a sense of choice. They say, "I put this on because I wanted to." That is really the entire difference. If any part of this felt like looking in a slightly different mirror today, I hope it felt encouraging rather than critical, because every single one of these habits comes from somewhere completely reasonable. Comfort, habit, something that simply worked for you once. Now you know exactly why, and exactly what to reach for instead. Tell me down in the comments which of these 8 struck closest to home for you. There is no judgment here at all, only curiosity, and it genuinely helps me know what to talk about next. If you'd like more conversations like this one, subscribe to Ageless Sophistication, and I'll see you in the next video.